not using it because I can't figure out how to actually get it charged. So we're back to my not so nice camera. But the great thing about the not so nice camera is it's got a nice big aperture. So if you can't see it, but I've got a six or $7,000 Canon that's just pointed at me, not being used. But you know, whatever. Um, yeah, it's been incredible over the last few days in terms of the amount of interest in Claude Flow. It's just astounding. Everybody wants to see it, understand it. You know, the growth in the community has been, you know, I get up in the morning and there's like 50 issues I have to go through, but that's I guess half the fun here. How's everyone? Jed, good to see you. Let's see here. What what should we cover today? Let's go to my I've been fooling around trying to use the you know, like when you use Claude Code and you can authorize using their OAuth flow. I'm working on a let me share my screen. I'll show what I'm working on. I'm coming through okay, guys. I sound good. I probably don't look great on this camera, but
You're fine, although the upper half of your screen is a little pinkish. I don't know if that's the lightsaber in front of you or something else.
oh, this thing? I can, yeah.
You have a pink halo effect in the
Nice.
upper third of your screen.
Well, it is what it is now. All right. Hopefully you guys can see my screen here. I've got, so Code Mesh. So I just pushed out a new version of the Claude Flow this morning. So hopefully I didn't break anything too badly. Lots of new updates here. Mostly just maintenance related updates, but let's just check that I'm using 61. All right, 61. And just to let you guys know, you don't have to use the actual CLI itself. All you need to do to make this work really is just use Claude and the dangerously skip, and you've got all the features, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not even going to bother because that's the benefit to using the commands. So I'm going to go here. I'll use this, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to show you some of the stuff I'm working on. All right. So let's go here and I'll find the README. I gotta clean up the root folder, but so pay no attention to my mess. This is a dev environment. Right. So what I'm attempting to create is a version of open code that is Rust and WASM based that I can use as a kind of generic implementation that I can use against things like Kimi or other models. So for example, I want to use it with GitHub Copilot or OpenAI or Anthropic, Google Gemini, things like that. All right. So actually, I'm gonna go back one moment. I'm gonna add the -C, and I'm going to start where I left off because I don't remember exactly what I was working on previously. -C is kind of the resume option for Claude. What do we got here? All right, so let me pull open my chat. All right, so what we got here, just to recap what I was working, I've successfully completed the registry integration for persistent storage. Here's what I've accomplished. So I can, all right, how do I test the CLI and auth process? I just want to show you guys. This is actually really interesting for a lot of things. If you're looking to leverage the Anthropic Claude Max for things other than, you know, through Claude Code and others, this is the way that you're going to do it, and this is what I'm working on today. So basically, it's a way to cheap out and not have to pay for using you know, the API, but having the same benefits as the API within Claude, as well as other non-Claude based systems. But right now I'm working on the authentication. Well, what's this? What's C++2? All right, this is what I want. All right, I'm gonna run this. So I'm gonna copy this, and we're gonna give it, hopefully it works. Cargo run. Do I need to be in that folder? We'll see in a second. All right, so Claude Mesh, auth, or code, oh, log in. I might want to make this a little bit simpler. All right, here we go. So now we've got different options. So this is my clone, essentially, of Claude Code or Open Code, whatever. And I used it. I completely copied, shout out to the Open Code crew, but I completely copied Open Code. So this is the original, and then I cloned the entire thing. So, and you can see the crates. So I've got CLI core, and some right now I'm working on the authentication. So we're gonna go and we're gonna do Anthropic Claude. And I get choices here for the Pro Max or the API. I'm gonna go. I really only care about the Pro Max right now, so I'm gonna go with that. And then we've got this. We're gonna open that up. I'm not sure why it's not auto spawning. That might be another error I gotta figure out. Now, in another window, it popped open, so I'm going to drag it over so you guys can see that. Too many monitors here. So now we go back here. All right. All right. So is hijacking the right word? I'm borrowing, I'm authenticating against Claude Code, but not for Claude Code. So it thinks it's Claude Code, but it isn't. It's actually CodeMesh. So you can use this for other, like if you're building an app and you don't want to pay for the API, that's kind of the idea. So I'm going to authorize, and I'm going to
Is
copy the
CodeMesh
code.
using the Claude Code SDK under the hood?
No, I reverse engineered their OAuth. I don't know. I didn't see anything saying I couldn't do it. We'll see after this how much trouble I'm in. All right, so we're gonna go back here. I'm gonna paste this in. Now the OAuth is authenticated. So now I can, you can now use this with, all right, so let's do run. Oh, I'm getting an error. Authenticate message invalid XP. Okay, let's fix that. So, well, the good news is I was able to get to that point, so you're gonna watch me try to fix it. So now we're gonna go down here, and okay, now I can choose my different options, right? So I've got my Spark analyzer, which I sometimes do. I've got, all the various, components that I can choose, and these are based on the Claude folder commands. So it looks like I didn't include all of them. I'm only running Spark. So what I'm going to actually do before I bother, I'm going to leave this for a moment, and I'm going to run the flow. But this time I'm going to init -- force, and keep an eye on the Claudes folder over here. I often only run Spark when I'm just trying to do my own thing, but in this case I kind of want the other thing, so I'm going to go ahead and initialize those. All right. See now all those other ones are created, looking good. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to continue where I left off. And I'm going to use which one do I want to use? Analysis? We'll do analysis file, performance report, token usage. What do I want? Smart spawn. Let's use smart spawn. I'm seeing the following error. Let's fix it. And I'm gonna grab the error to make sure I have it. Here we go. Now we're gonna sit back and watch and see how the smart spawn feature works. There's so many features. I haven't even tested all the features, to be honest. So I'm curious how my smart spawn indicates there's either no API configured or the API key is invalid. Let me analyze and fix the issue. All right, so we need some way to debug it a little bit. So I'm able to go through the OAuth process. Oh, I'm using a similar approach as the Claude Code OAuth for Pro Max subscriptions. Review both the Claude Code source and the @open code methods, and use a similar approach. I flew through in 3 hours using Swarm size of 5. Yeah. I think they've throttled. Remember I was bragging last week about 500,000 lines of code per hour. Now I'm like 100,000, which is still pretty good, but it's not 500,000. They've obviously throttled these swarms. I would guess I'm probably the reason. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm using the original Claude, or sorry, open code system, and then I'm basically saying, well, they figured out how to do it. So now, and if it works for them, it works for me. And then I'm basically rebuilding the same functionality as they have, and then I'm using the fallback of reverse engineering Claude code. So right now I'm really just focused on authentication. So this is an OAuth model. So I've got the first couple steps working, but it's not using the
Root,
key. Yeah.
so the need statement here is the ability to use obviously the subscription, but not limit to only Claude Code, right? So I'm not familiar with open code. I'm presuming this is basically a repository for agent. What is the purpose of open code? Is it similar to Claude Code?
It's similar, but it's an implementation. It's kind of a clone, but for other LLMs and providers. And it's kind of heavy and slow. So what I did is like I wanted to have an independent implementation where I could use things like Kimi K2 or Mistral or other low cost systems, and I could run locally and then use you know when Claude Code stops working, basically it could fall back and use a local or secondary LLM. Or if I want to build something and not have to pay for the API, I could just use the Claude Code in place of the API. That's what I'm sure. So this is essentially my own sort of coding
You know,
CLI.
or you could change the parameters for Anthropic key and Anthropic base URL and trick Claude Code into using other models.
Yeah, that would probably get me in trouble with those guys. But yes, I could totally do that. I could probably do a proxy maybe.
You could even have two $200 licenses and switch the key when one holds up.
It doesn't quite work that way, Guy. I have two concurrent licenses, and I basically push the A terminal's repo back to GitHub, have the B terminal pull the repo down in a completely different computer, and then continue work.
Yeah.
There's
I
something being cached from the previous session that I'm not fully removing.
I wasn't able to do that either. I tried. The only way I could get around that is basically I had to delete the entire history, and that was a whole pain. So they're caching it somehow or other. Now it's doing a check. So it created this auth. All right, choose I think the keys don't look like this. The overflow, the OAuth key looks more like this. It's very confident when I tell it things. Like, can you not be less of a sycophant, please? Like, I don't care if I'm absolutely right. Just fix it. It probably looks like
I like to validate. Yeah, it validates way too. Yeah, it is. It kind of devalues the response. It's like, wait, are you just agreeing with me, or like, are you actually assessing this?
Yeah, exactly. Interesting. I found the number sign in the middle. All right, so we created using new inline removals. And let me update the user prompts to make clear about okay. Let me build the test with the OAuth format you provided. All right, I might have to relog in here. While I'm doing that, I gotta clean up my root folder here a little bit, I think.
So, if you're running Flow right now, or is this just code?
Yeah, I instantiated Flow using the / command. I'm not
Okay.
running a swarm because I'm trying to solve one problem, right? So it makes no
Gotcha.
sense. It makes no sense to point a swarm at something where I'm just trying to iterative back and forth here. I'm doing a build. I'm trying to see if the build works. So this is just me going back and forth on a test, which is basically me trying to get this system up and running. So I've got two implementations. Cargo is the Rust implementation, and I have an MPX, which I'm going to publish here in a bit, which is basically you'll be able to use a MPX implementation. So this is this folder. But before I do that, I want to get the actual core itself working. You can see that I've got the WASM implementation here. So that this would be this file. All right, let's go back here. Build, it's building.
Now with Flow, is it building with Spark and basically pre-loaded in that?
Yeah, it's the slash, right? So it's the slash command, you can see all my different things. So if I want GitHub, I'll type GitHub and get into my GitHub Swarm. If I want Spark, I'll do Spark. And then you can see I have different options, memory managers. And the system can also self-determine what it needs to use. I can have my analysis. I can do my Swarm. I can do Hive. Oops.
And so you're not
Spell it
writing
right.
Spark, you're doing /Spark every time you're creating a new feature. You're using it to like initialize the project. So you do
Yeah.
Cloudflow install, and then you do /Spark create.
Well, depends on what I'm doing. I'm doing two things right now. I'm both testing and making sure that the thing works, as
Yeah,
well as vibing this new OAuth system that I'm working on right now.
cool.
So let's take a look at what this looks like. So we'll go here, and we'll just run that. I'm just curious what it's doing. So this is testing. Full code, part code. This matches. Select the real OAuth. I'm not test the cargo, select Anthropic Claude. Yeah. Implemented. Okay. That looks good. This isn't actually a token. So if anyone's like wanting to take it, this is the OAuth token, which probably doesn't work. So added token, refresh, run. All right. I think I'm gonna have to reauthorize. We'll see that in a sec. So copy that. Yeah, we're gonna use this one right now. We'll use Pro Max. Like that. All right. This takes a bit of trial and error. Authorize. It's obviously possible. The guys at Claude or Open Code managed to figure it out. So I'll pop that in
I
here.
think the client guys did it first, so
Yeah, I'm still getting
I
that.
think-
Still getting that error. I'm missing something about how it's being used.
is port 54545 open in this environment?
Probably not.
Because I
Or
noticed that was a problem when I had multiple instances running.
token creates the actual key. To use the OAuth API configuration creates the actual key. ProMax token cannot be used directly with the Anthropic API. No, obviously, I want to use the same approach as the Claude code system, which doesn't use the API key, but the OAuth. Can you review the Claude code node modules? Let's see how they do it, as well as the at open code. Now this is a bit more, so I'm going to spawn a 3-agent swarm in 3-agent concurrent swarm using batch pool pass, something like that. So I'm moving from a sort of sequential. I'm gonna put a little swarm on it and see if it can look at everything a little more concurrently. So you'll notice here that the tasks, if it works correctly, there should be 3 tasks that'll now operate concurrently to one another. You see them blinking, that means it's working. So I'm getting it to do 3 things all at once, and this is a pretty in-depth sort of research. I'm getting it to reverse engineer Claude code, which they've compiled into a kind of obfuscated package. So it's going to have to figure out how to decompile that. And then I'm also looking at the way Open Code does it, which is you can see the Anthropic TS, which I guess I could look if I want to. Let's take a look at what they're doing here.
Love to see how you monitor these, like as the terminal kind of spins out like this, right? It just keeps going. It gets pretty EDM like, I would say,
Yeah,
just
It's only if you have more tasks than lines.
So they're using a callback. They're using the OAuth token. Looks, that's what I want to do. Just do it that way. Yeah, you're talking about the flickering thing? It kind of reminds, yeah, it's the Matrix.
It is the Matrix, and so actually last night I was working on a front end UI for this. I'm like trying to think like how is this gonna, like, how can you make this more intelligible? But I mean I'm kind of curious, how do you make it more intelligible? Are you doing dash monitor, like like right now if you wanted to see, like are you just kind of, is this the view that you typically use?
Yeah, this is the view I typically use, but I'm a bit of a geek, so I like consoles. Speaking, but as a side note, just we brought up Matrix for a moment. I don't know if he's on the call or not, but yesterday I did a coaching call with the guy who did the special effects for the Matrix movies back in the early 2000s, and he was telling me the backstory of there was a part when they were doing like some hacking and they showed like Nmap or whatever. He was the guy that told them they needed to use Nmap and they had to use the spacebar. And that was the first movie where they actually, when they showed someone typing, where they used the spacebar. Before that, and everyone that would type on movies never used the space bar. And if anyone's ever typed knows, you can't type anything without using the space bar, right? So little fact on that. So that was kind of a cool little coaching session, and I learned a lot about the backstory of the Matrix, which anyway, I actually love these coaching things. You never know who you're going to meet on these calls. I don't know. He might be on the call if you are. Hope I didn't share too much there, but yeah, that was pretty cool. But back to you. Do you want to show Alex what the UI or what you're working on?
I mean, it's bust. It's not working, but I can show you kind of where I was going with it if you want.
Did you and did you look at the UI that we have for, there is a UI for the Claude. Actually, before you do, I'm going to show you mine just quickly. So if you do npx Claude Flow at alpha and you do start -- UI. This is a UI and it gives you a WebSocket interface for the application. So you can see here, we can go here, the console, and we go back. Now, if anyone's looking to help, there is a UI.
I'd like to help.
And you can see the different commands and stuff. A lot of work to be done. You've got settings. The most useful part of this right now, to be honest, is I've included a WebSocket interface for the Claude Flow, which means you can integrate this into pipelines. So let's say you want to have a stock trading app, which has been really popular thank you for everyone supporting me on that. That allows you to have like information flowing to and from the system. So if you want to, let's say, monitor a certain president, and whenever that certain president says something crazy on social media, you might want to make trades based on the practical sort of ramifications of that comment. The system could automatically say, okay, he said something, I'm going to make a stock trade based on that. Or you might want to have a pipeline that goes into other systems and makes decisions. So it's basically a way to sort of tie the swarm into a kind of broader connection of real-time information. It could be Slack channels, it could be stock trading, whatever where you need real-time information. And then the system can actually then train and do all kinds of stuff with it. But the very, very most basic level, it's a way for you to interact with the system programmatically from the web. So you can see there's different commands. So if you're building a UI, you might want to modify mine because it gives you a nice running start. Now, Alex, let's see what you got.
Trying to pull it up right now. I had it all in a code space. I just didn't have it pulled up, so I need a couple more minutes here.
All right.
One of the biggest challenges. I don't know if any of you are actually coding in code spaces. I kind of like the remote element of this, and as I envision a future for development, I think most development should happen remotely, especially with agents. Like, why have it rely on your own machine? You should just have it go live somewhere else and run indefinitely until the project's done, and just ping you when you need it. So that's part of the kind of the design I'm hoping to go for. But
Let's
it's
take a look.
when you code on code spaces, though, I've been running into some CORS issues, and you have to make your ports visible, like your port 8000 visible. Like it's a recurring problem. So
okay. Yeah. This is a common problem with any node sort of front end styles. And you notice that I was doing WebSockets for that purpose as well. There's two things you're going to have to keep in mind. When you're running locally, the WebSocket, I'm just running localhost. But as soon as you move to a remote instantiation, that's where things like my QDAG and the DAA system comes into play. I'm creating basically a sort of encrypted private distributed network that allows it to communicate broadly without, and it can traverse your firewalls without crazy ports, that kind of thing. It's similar to what we did with Napster back in the day. Basically, I'm routing through port 8080 or port 443, which is SSL, and that's kind of the way you want to do it. But the second thing you want to do is you want to probably use some sort of like server-side function, or like a serverless function like Supabase or AWS or something, and put all that logic, the API logic there. And hopefully that made sense. But step one, just get it working locally, which is what I did.
Still working on getting this thing open. So if you want to continue, I'll let you know as soon as it's loaded.
What else? Well, let me take a breather for a moment. Anything anyone wants to discuss? See? No?
Hello.
I'm happy. Yeah.
You just
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Osmond.
Go ahead, Nick. Yeah.
I was just going to say, is there any other ports that are for specific things, Rube, that you just off the top of your head are like obvious? There's some of them that are obvious, but there's some, like, I didn't really know that SSL had a particular port, for example. That's kind of the first I'm knowing of that,
There's only really 4 or 3 ports, I guess, that matter. 443 is standard HTTPS, right? So that if you want to run I guess you could re-forward it, but generally speaking, it's 443. That's the standard port. Port 80 is HTTP, right? So if you do, I don't know who runs without without SSL these days. And then there's like some standard ports that you run for things like Node.js, like 8080 or port 3000. So when you're running an MCP server, generally speaking, you're going to run port 3000. That's just kind of the port people like. I noticed you've got localhost port 3000 running, and you have port 8000, which is probably your UI. And then you've got
this is my instance, Reuven. For anyone else who uses VS Code, there is a ports view. If you open the bottom pane, switch from terminal to ports, and then you can see all the ports that are exposed from inside your remote instance, and then what the mapped port is in your local instance. So sometimes If you expose 8080, for example, it gets forwarded to a completely different port. On your local computer, you need to visit this port in your browser, which then gets forwarded to this port on the remote instance. Does that all make sense?
Yeah. It's interesting
Cool.
that you don't have the privacy settings on there because like on mine it says it'll literally say like if it's a private or public port, and you can easily change the visibility by just right clicking on one of those ports.
Probably could, but
Yeah. I could show you guys what I could show you what I was kind of envisioning a little bit. Again, it's not working code, all right. So, but I think it's a
Maybe-
of
we
something.
welcome demos and mockups.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
we can make it work. You know what? I'd rather see a
Oh, I
nice
like
looking
Linktree.
fake version versus a bad looking real version. I don't know.
Give me
I
two
like
seconds. So
let's see it.
so just as I was pulling it up, it went offline. Great. So just one sec. I'm just gonna rerun.
Did we determine which good Greek or Roman god was the god of demos?
I thought it was Pan, the god of mischief.
I don't know, but I totally want to name a project Seraphina. The six-wing angel of something, the head angel. If you believe in that kind of thing. I'm pretty sure she's the angel of in the quantum realm.
G'day, Ruv.
Yeah. Yeah, good to see you, Chris.
Hey, man. Hey, I was thinking that if we wanted to test the demo gods, it'd be awesome to see a bake-off between your neural nets and just a vanilla batch tool.
Oh, you mean the training system? Is it?
Well, no, just like running out of the box swarms versus your fancy neural network version.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let me show you guys how that works. Alex, when you get when you get
Yeah,
your
I've got
demo
it.
up and running,
I've got
oh, you
it
have?
here. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
it'll-
I'll show you guys. I'll show you that in a minute. But the neural network stuff's pretty cool. Oh wow, look at you. You've created like 3D. Oh,
Yeah.
look at your console.
Yeah.
So right click on the console.
And debug console.
Yeah,
Sorry, yeah, let me go back to this.
inspect. Yeah, go to console and go to
And refresh the page.
refresh the page. And what we're looking for is what.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not even your port's not even
You're
responding.
getting error
No,
401.
it's
It looks
some-
like
and
the
this is why
sender
I think it's
died.
running in that cores problem. So, but you guys kind of briefly saw there. Yeah, I was going for like
Okay, go back. We can resolve that. Let's fix it.
great.
We love bugs. That's like my specialty. For
No.
everything I create, I got 1,000-to-1 ratio for creating
Well,
bugs to functional code.
And as technical as you are, Rube, I feel like your most impressive skill is how willing you are to fail in front of the public. So, I think it's a real sign of yeah, there's a lot of vulnerability that goes into this. So showing a bunch of broken code to 100 people is not really the most fun thing in the world. But
Oh, it is.
let me do my best here.
Yeah, no, we all
Um,
if you're able to create something in the first try that's fully functional, then you're doing it better than I am. The fail is part of the process.
So I'm just
Yeah, and you learn a lot more when you're watching someone do debugging. Once you go to NPM, Spark, and the rest, it's actually
Yeah.
so
more learning.
I'll give you.
Yeah, I'm yet to fix my bugs from
I'll give you
yesterday morning with Ravi and other. I've got to
Yes.
fix the bugs and give you the code.
Ravi, good to meet you, and welcome to our live vibe. So
We had a session
Yeah.
today, Rup, actually, I think Chris and Balu and Ravi are in New Zealand, so they're dialing in from there. So they invited us for a session. So we did a live coding yesterday morning.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Nice.
we're in the back of Beyond in New Zealand, so it's like we started at 4 a.m. So and thank you, Mandeep, for that session. Awesome.
and you're in Auckland or
Wellington.
Wellington? Oh, there's only two cities. I had a 50-50 chance.
It's
I'm
five
sure
and a
there's-
half million, 5.5 million population. You know, any country farts, they get something like New Zealand. So we're pretty tiny.
No, New Zealand's a great country. My cousin lives there too, and what 80% of the country is like uninhabited, something like that. Some crazy stat, but it looks beautiful. Everything I know about New Zealand, I learned from Lord of the Rings. And I think Peter Jackson's your unofficial prime minister.
Yeah, he's pretty powerful. No one dares piss him off, and he has an email on something called Paradise Net, and we can't switch off that part of Vodafone, or Vodafone's left now, but we can't switch off any servers which have his personal family emails, and they should have been retired like 20 years ago. It's pretty
So
powerful. You will not believe, like anything, it's prime ministers like pond scum, as they would say in the UK, compared to Peter Jackson. Yeah.
so is
He's pretty.
he doesn't sound like he's Gandalf. He sounds like the other the other guy. Was this so
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm
Or
All
Rahman.
good fun.
but was Peter Jackson in the Matrix as well? I don't even know. No, that was Wachowskis or something.
So
Brothers.
importantly, Peter Jackson started in a room with 3 computers. That's how it actually looked when he created. So he created a whole industry. So he has a huge amount of respect here.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't knocking him. He's great.
No, I'm just saying that's the reason he's that influential, because he really created a whole thing, and from just starting from there, today is somewhere else. But that is why he has. It's not that we mind that he's that important.
Well, in Canada, we've got Celine Dion and Justin Bieber,
And Drake.
which I think, is Guy still in line? I think Guy, you might be like distantly related to Justin Bieber, if I'm not mistaken.
My parents claim that, but I will not claim that. So
Okay. And if anyone asks, first cousin.
Too funny.
All
Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I want to make a front end where I can actually see what the agents are doing. Like, and so I was calling it squad flow instead of cloud flow. I was like, okay, how can I like build up a cloud flow but have to be like my squad? And every time you want to like let it go, you like unleash your squad. So I feel like the terminal for me, the CLI interface is, I totally get it from a geeking out standpoint, and I appreciate it at times, but I work in product. I love simplifying complex things. This honestly isn't meeting my expectation, but what it is the circle in the middle is actually representing the queen agent, and then I wanted to kind of like visualize if like a new agent got spawned up, it'd actually show up visually for you, so you can kind of like see how they're interacting with each other. And there's meant to be like hover effects over these, so I can see like what tasks they're working on.
Mhm.
But I mean, this is just the front end piece of it. But the way I envision it is like, imagine if you could visually see someone build a skyscraper. Like over time, if you like push fast forward on a skyscraper build, it would be incredible. Like we've all seen those videos. It's like, okay, they dig out the foundation, they dig a hole, they put the pilings in, and then it kind of grows. Like I feel like I would love to be able to like view my project like that and understand what workers are actually doing like throughout that sequence. And so this is kind of the starting point for trying to visualize a project coming to fruition, and each project would kind of be its own 3-dimensional unique like fingerprint. I also see it sitting on like a timeline, so I could see like the start of the project, maybe the futures like visualize and grayed out, but as it moves closer and closer, it kind of like breathes and expands into like a future, like a build being realized in real time as the agents are solving problems. Maybe it solves it faster, the timeline gets shorter, or if it runs into a hurdle, it actually grows because it's having to forecast it's going to change. But I just think that as the human in the loop, it's such an important thing for us to be able to understand what's going on, and ultimately we're the managers, right? So like adding our strategic value, knowing when to stop a team from doing a certain action. When the logs are just ripping through like the Matrix, it's for a less trained eye, it's a little bit harder. So this was my attempt, my first stab at trying to create an interface that can work with Cloudflow.
Nice. So a couple things I would consider to make this work.
Yeah.
You probably want to start with these Hive or Swarm DB files, which are basically where I'm storing the sort of memories and sort of activities, which would allow you to sort of visualize those components. Once you've got that, what I would suggest is cloning the actual main repo and then telling it to use the web sockets. So the WebSockets allows for bidirectional communication with the system. And
Okay.
you've got all the tools essentially you want. Now, the other thing you could possibly do is you could expose my MCP interface, which is essentially the API. And I've got 87 tools currently that would allow you to sort of interact, not just visualize it, but actually interact with it and potentially influence what's happening. So if you can sort of see that it's spawning and doing and get sort of insights by zooming in, zooming out kind of thing, then you can potentially interact with it and say, well, actually, you're not doing something, though agent number 2, the data analyst, isn't thinking correctly or something. And you can say, well, go down this new path.
Totally. And actually, I just want to point to the comments here. Ryan just put some pretty awesome repo in the chat. And so did Braden. It looks like he was playing around with something. So people are trying to make a more visual sense of what's going on. But both of these examples are really cool.
And for use cases where it's really important is now you're providing the ability to use explainable AI. So if you have each of these where you can actually see what's going on as a product owner or somewhere within the company, you can actually track in a visual way rather than the terminal. So I love it. Good job, Alex.
Yeah, that's
Thanks.
awesome.
I mean, it's just a start, but yeah.
What you're showing is totally doable. Someone else did a swarm control center. That was cool. Is that working? Is that demoable? I'm very lost.
Not quite. It's static right now, but I did have it hooked up the other day. So I think it's pretty aligned with what Alexander was talking about.
You can call me Alex.
Oh, Alex.
So yeah, I've been pretty much focused just on the core sort of capability, but I think you're all pretty right. We need prettier.
This is where
easier
team comes into play. This is where team. I feel like you're pushing the frontier on the actual like architecture and the thinking. I actually did some, a lot of it's really technical. I had a 2-hour conversation yesterday with an AI. And what I did was I took the repo, and if anyone's trying to like really grasp this stuff, I found this to be extremely valuable because I'm the kid in class that want to like raise my hand and ask questions, like actually engage in learning and not just like let it gloss over. I think a lot of us are probably like that. We want to like ask questions to learn. I took the repo, I put it into Notebook LM, and I turned it into a podcast. And then there's a feature within the podcast where you can like join the podcast. And it helped me so much in terms of being able to like ask very technical, specific questions, like dream a bit and have it like reference the resource. Because I'm not a traditional like coder. Like I'm actually more of a product person. I've been a product leader forever, and I've had to manage developers, but my day job has never been like to be a developer. So, but knowing how these systems work in their intricacies, it's a requirement now. You have to be a technically minded person to help steer these things in the right direction. And I just found that was really useful. So if anyone either needs help or it's a pretty simple thing. Notebook LM with the repo. If you have any questions about it.
Oh, and we got another one. And if anyone wants to demo these UIs, these look spectacular.
They do.
I'm happy to take a look. Like Chris, you've got a UI as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've got it running now.
All right, let's see it. Alex, amazing.
Yeah,
really cool. Let's all collab and create something.
Sweet.
We have 2 spots open for tomorrow's lightning talks as well, too, Ruth.
Okay.
Don't know if we can call it a lightning talk, Rob, but put me down, please, for setting up a Rackspace Spot-powered code space.
Awesome, will do.
18 cores for everyone else, 18 cores of compute, 90 gigabytes of RAM across 6 servers, and it costs less than $15 a month.
I'm in. Let's do it. Let's spin up. We should spin up my Roof Swarm neural nets on the GPU and see what happens.
There is one catch. You have to know Kubernetes, or at least be willing to use it. There are Kubernetes
You have
only
to
platforms.
use Kubernetes?
It's a Kubernetes only platform. That's how they're distributing the compute.
I was once in a bar brawl, not directly, but indirectly, with the creator of Kubernetes in just outside of Calgary, Alberta, up in the mountains. What the hell's the name of that town? Whatever the name of that town up there is. What's that?
Canmore?
Just further, whatever, it's in
Ba-
the other
Banff.
side. Banff. Yeah, we were at some conference and some people were talking shit about Go, and he was pissed. Yeah.
How much did you?
A lot. This was
Yeah.
like 12 years ago. Anyway, he's actually like some kind of like ninja or something. I don't know. And it ended badly for the no, it wasn't it was actually it wasn't Banff. It was the whatever, just outside of
Gaskell?
Reno. It was in California, whatever the hell
Oh.
that ski town's called, up in the mountains there. But true story, I won't say his name, you can probably figure it out. But anyway,
Kubernetes Ninja.
Kubernetes Ninja, don't mess with that guy.
We should make a plugin infrastructure for all the UI stuff.
Oh, this
look
is
at
cool.
So yeah, this is sick. Did you make this, Chris?
Yeah, I made this. It's just a mock. It's not actually doing anything.
Okay.
Still.
So
But the idea with this one was that you actually I'll go back a step. So the thinking was that if we all connected all of our Claude Max accounts, you know, you'd come in. Anyway, you'd go in there and you'd log in. There's a way to log in. It's not working. And you'd add your Claude Max account, and now we're all kind of communicating on a massive scale with all of our things connected. And then you come into projects, and then you could plug in your GitHub repo, and that would appear on the list, right? And then you could vote. And so you kind of having a democratized way of pooling resources on projects.
Well,
and then you know, you'd have all your stats and all the agents that are running and real-time activities. And
I've got the back end for you, Chris. Take a look at the link I just put in the text area. I built your back end already. It allows you to share Claude code capacity securely and anonymously, as well as other. All you need to do is point your front end at my back end, and it'll work.
Sweet. I wish I could quote you on that.
Seriously, like we're thinking exactly the same here. It's got all the stats you want.
That's amazing, dude. Well, I'll give that a crack. And sort of the thinking here, I don't know if anyone else is old enough to remember SETI at home, but that was kind of the thinking with this. That's why I called it SASE at home. And
it's awesome.
You know, the more resources we point at this, the closer we get to ASI.
What UI framework are you using for this? AWR ES or something else?
What it decided to use was I think it was 3JS and WebGL, and it's React. That's about as far as I know.
We're living in like some cyberpunk future here. I need to make my office look like, you know, Johnny Mnemonic. Check this out, guys.
We're gonna get goggles.
Yeah, so literally built his back end last weekend. I called it Synaptic Neural Mesh, and basically this allows you to connect multiple neural networks together and share them, and it uses all the other crazy stuff we built. You can connect in your K2 integrations. It's completely decentralized. So this is already built and published. Uses the concepts of a micro neural network architecture. So rather than one single monolithic neural network. So think of like, you know, traditional, like Kimi is a perfect example. It's a trillion parameter model. It requires substantial amount of GPU and compute. I'm saying, what if we could spawn many smaller neural networks, whether it's on a device, a toaster, a mobile desktop, whatever, and securely connect all those resources together and create a kind of interconnected network of mini distributed minds.
It's GPU at home.
It's literally it's literally the SETI GPU at home with micro neural nets. Now I'm using the exact same architecture that underpins the actual capabilities that we have in Claude Flow, but I haven't really been promoting too much. In Claude Flow, if you go in here and you run a certain command, I should probably do a better job of telling you about all the secret little capabilities here. But one of the capabilities you're going to see here is in the training area. So if you run training, and we'll go back here, and it's all I'm using WASMs for all this stuff. So this is using the same micro neural net architecture. So in this case, if I want to train my swarm and have it learn based on all the things I've been doing in my environment over the last 2 weeks building this platform, I can train it to actually become more aware of how it needs to operate. So it's again using I'm using the concepts of I'm calling it a micro neural net. And so you can train. So here's an example. I'm going to do a task predictor based on the current models, that basically all the stuff it's run recently. And I'm just going to do a quick. We run it. Oh, I didn't do what did I do wrong here? Oh, I forgot one of them. Let's go back here. I forgot to include the word training. Let's go back. Let's go here. I don't remember my own commands. Let's try again. So what this is doing is training a micro neural model, no GPU required because it's sub 1 million parameters, and I can optimize based on all the swarm activity that it previously did to then give itself its own neural network for any prediction of tasks it'll do next. So hopefully that makes sense. So what I'm doing here, I'm using a concurrent model, neural networks that are using WebAssembly Sim for massive performance. I'm using matrix multiplication parallel across them. I'm doing federated learning back to Chris's example. I can federate not only with this, but every other code space I have, but I can also use the distributed components from my neural mesh to securely interact with all you guys. So everybody on this call can essentially contribute to a sort of broad distributed neural network system that we can all leverage. So singularly, we have small little neural networks. So maybe they're all 1 million parameters, but if you get 1,000 people with a 1 million parameters, suddenly we have a 1 billion parameter network distributed around the globe. It uses Byzantine fault tolerance, similar to what you'd see in like Ethereum or other blockchains. So if we lose certain people that come and go, their connectivity is lost. The overall architecture of the system is fault tolerant. So for example, I can plug this into a mobile phone and we can leverage, a browser on a mobile phone, or I can stick it in a lamppost and use that, and it can communicate with everything else. Does this make sense, or am I rambling?
Is this how have you guys seen that the Jack Dorsey like block text chat thing that came out?
Yeah. Okay. Your guys are like
kind of based on.
I built that too yesterday. The guys
Nice.
reached out and like, yeah. So shout out to Jack and company. So yesterday they're like, hey, we got this new thing. What can you do with it? It's called BitChat. So BitChat, I've built in so much crap. It's almost unimaginable. So BitChat allows us to use Bluetooth mesh networking essentially to create a interconnected communication channel that doesn't require any kind of network connectivity to connect. So let's say you're in the middle of the forest and you've got a bunch of people fighting a fire and there's no 5G or LTE available. This can allow you to spontaneously create a secure, high-speed, low latency network using Bluetooth mesh that pretty much exists on any modern phone.
How big are the payloads? Because I thought the advantage of Bluetooth mesh was that it can transmit far and fast, but only small payloads.
Exactly, tiny payloads. So
I heard small
yes,
pieces and just passes it along over time. So the message might not come immediately, but it'll like kind of come in chunks and then it'll open, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Right, but that also means all the intermediate nodes are passing all the messages that they're not meant to receive.
Yeah, but I'm encrypting it. So I'm
That's
using
fine. But that's
I'm
more
using my
payload.
onion routing. So you can see random bits of data, but that makes no sense until you decrypt it. So all the other tools that I put in place provide that kind of multi-hop structure. So you've got temporary messaging, you've got cover analysis. so and taking it a step further, because I built previously my ultrasonic system. If you where is it? There's so much crap, guys. It's ultrasonic, this one. So if we need a relay and we need to use like solar or some low powered based system, like let's say it needs to run on a 9-volt battery, I can switch from Bluetooth mesh to using the 9 kilohertz audible frequency that's just beyond your ability to hear. And I can use that as a relay on top of the Bluetooth mesh as a fallback. So you can basically bootstrap a complete, communications network using a combination of Bluetooth mesh and just ultrasonic frequencies, basically sound. So all you'd need for this would be a speaker.
Roof, I feel like next week you're going to show up, you're going to have your cyberpunk glasses on, you're going to be out in the woods, and you're going to be like, I tapped into the mushroom network to interconnected trees, and I was able to send text messages from here to there.
What's that called? I think I saw that in like a Star Trek episode. They there's some kind of...
That's the mycelium network.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm gonna build the wokest network of all time. All right, so back to this. So we've got the ability to train these. So now I can do something like train. What do I want to do? Give me an analysis of the difference between the neural optimized swarm and the default configuration of Claude Flow. There's so many parts to this thing. If you peel the onion back, you'll keep discovering there's literally thousands of layers to this thing. So haven't even been talking about all the neural network components. So this is using all the other stuff I just showed you as part of the neural network within Claude Flow, and I packaged that as the WASM. So now I think Chris asked, like, what's the difference? Well, we're about to find out. What's the difference between the sort of standard and a sort of neural optimized version of this? All right, so we're gonna do a quick comparison. I'm not sure why I had to roll back to an older version of Claude Code. That's why you're seeing my little arrow down here. All right, so what I'm trying to do is figure out what the, and I've seen huge performance differences. I didn't want people to think I was crazy, but when someone using the neural component sent me a message saying that they're seeing a 90+% SWE bench with the neural optimized options running. I haven't had a chance to really dig into that, but all I can tell you is it works really well.
What I was getting at when I said a bake-off was you could literally have two of them running side by side, give them both the same PRD, and say go do it, and then actually see live how they compare in real time.
Yeah, and take a look at this. While that does its thing, I'm going to show you one other thing. There's a lot to cover here, but if you go to the Claude Flow repo, the Microsoft guys sent me a message earlier about this new super intelligence thing that they're all excited by. I don't know if anyone saw that. They announced it yesterday. And so they're like, what can you do with that? So take a look at this. Lots and lots of stuff here. Which one is it? Oh, here it is. If you want to dig in deep, they came out with something they call a medical superintelligence AI system yesterday. So they're like, what would your hive mind do with that? So if you really want to dig deep, check out this research. So this is they've done some kind of research basically saying that they can get this kind of pseudo super intelligence working specifically for medical diagnostics. And so then I took their research and I applied it to the hive mind structure to create a neural enhanced medical system initially. But then I took it further, and this is sort of how it would work using Claude Flow and the MCPs. and they're claiming 85% matching of diagnostic accuracy, 2 seconds per diagnostic. Where can I find their research? I think there's a link to that in here somewhere. But then this morning on a random call, I attempted to implement it. Microsoft's, and they're using some what are they using? A2A, I think. I don't even know. Yeah, so according to Microsoft, this is potentially the first step towards generic superintelligence. I don't know. We'll believe. I don't know if I believe it or not, but it's worth if you're into that. This might be an interesting way to look at. So basically, I'm applying the hive mind collective intelligence and all the other crazy stuff I just telling you about to their research. Microsoft meta learning mixture of experts architecture. Here it is. I think it's this one.
Is the research already public?
Yeah, they published it yesterday, I think.
Okay,
Where,
okay.
I'm trying to find where they published it, but they're seeing crazy numbers on it. I'm not sure why that's not rendering correctly. Let me find. There's a link to it here somewhere. I just saw it a second ago. You can find my potential implementation. Yeah, here it is. Microsoft Path to Medical Superintelligence. Yeah, here I'll put the link in the chat for you guys. Oh, I guess they came out with a few weeks ago. I guess June 30th.
We already got it.
I don't know if it is or isn't, to be honest. But they're pretty excited by it. So they're saying they're seeing more than 4 times higher group of experienced physicians. So it basically makes physicians completely useless. They can correctly diagnose up to 85% of, and it's, so I can take that in superpower and add custom neural networks for each of the pseudo physicians. Yeah. So worth taking a look at. And then there's a full white paper somewhere as well.
I think the key question is, can they write a prescription without money as well?
No, I doubt that. Someone has to be accountable. Like, I'm sure the guys that create, addictive drugs would probably be all for that, but it's probably a bad idea.
That's the one.
Yeah, you can hire McKinsey and they'll come up with a plan to addict half the country to some random drug. Oh, and I wish I was kidding. That's actually a thing. They did that. But anyway.
Was it McKinsey or Accenture that did that?
They're all the same. Is there a difference?
We don't actually care.
Yeah.
I think Accenture did it in the OEM car parts
This
market.
call is brutal, man.
Yeah, I'm allowed to know. I work there. I speak from experience. All right. So yeah, let's go back to whatever. Let's see what it said about this. All right. So now we've got a plan. It's neural optimized versus Cloudflow analysis. Neural optimized swarm provides dynamically superior performance, which we already know. Configuration. So this is how it's going to configure the mesh. This is how it's going to do a neural optimized configuration. So it's setting up the structure. This performance is BS. Let's not even worry about that right now. Yeah, but it's suggesting that it's going to be faster. It's suggesting similar benchmarks to what the guys at Microsoft are claiming. We'll have to run it to actually prove it. Better memory. That's because I'm using WASM based structures. Keep in mind, I'm GPU poor, so I'm not even using GPUs for any of this stuff. This is all CPU based, which is even crazier. So the default approach doesn't use neural pattern matching, neural prediction, and no federated learning. The other components will use that. We can see. All right, so this looks like a pretty good structure. Okay. Create new branch and run compare benchmark and publish results to the GitHub issues using CLI. Use a dual swarm, one for the non-neural and another using the hive mind and neural components or something like that. Make sure to include proof so people don't think this is bullshit. Something like that. Spawn wait. Let's use git work. Something like that. We'll see what that does.
Roof, I have a couple of questions. So the plan is to have this code mesh on top of the flow, or it's going to be used by Flow?
And so I created separately because, to be honest, Flow is getting to be mammoth. You know, it's already 4 million tokens. So I'm creating that separately. But I'd love you guys, if anyone that's interested in contributing, you can find it at my code mesh repo right here. It's pretty well. It's pretty far down the path. Like it sort of kind of works. It's obviously really early stage alpha, but you can give it a spin here. And then for anyone that's looking to create micro neural nets for, let's say putting SETI at home for neural nets, use Synaptic Mesh. So these are all modular components, and they're all published. If you go to my crates, they're all published as crates. Getting some pretty good downloads on those crates, by the way, too. I've only started doing these a few weeks ago, and I'm at 33,000 downloads. Not bad. Yeah, so you see Code Mesh, CLI. You can spin it up if you want to try it.
I tried to do it just before the meeting, and I was not able to. It said that I was able to find it.
Oh, this mesh or the crate?
Yeah, the package. I was not able to find it for some reason.
That's weird.
So I say
I just published it yesterday, so I don't know.
Okay.
I probably need to do some more debugging. Who knows? I've had downloads of it though, I think. So
is this actually working now?
Yeah, it's all stuff works. You can see I've Claude parsers. Claude parser is kind of cool if you're looking to parse the stream from the Claude Code CLI. This is how I do the real-time time series. So I'm taking the parsing output of the Claude, information coming from Claude Code, and then I'm training the neural net based on it. And that feeds into the neurodivergent system. Let's go to, can I search here? I got too much stuff. My CUDA, WASM.
So that code mesh one, that was based off the back of the issue I posted, and you said, I love this, and then you pointed your swarm at it, and I just built it, and it's working now.
Yeah. I just build stuff. People said, you should do this, and I go build it. So neurodivergent, this is the time series forecaster. This is how I do all the stock trading stuff. But so this can take real-time stream of data and then train different neural forecasting models in your browser.
Yeah. But then my question for this one was, is it automatically finding their own data, doing backtesting and everything, and it just starts trading on what? Is automatically picking up data, or
Yeah, so I haven't published this because it's just
I
to be
know.
honest with you guys, it's very lucrative. People are paying me quite a bit to do it for them, so I got to pay the bills too. But NeuroTrader has come along quite a bit because several investment groups have reached out and they're using it. I've added quite a bit of capabilities to this in the last week or so, but so yeah, you can tell that why I sleep 5 hours a night. But the NeuroTrader now, has all the NBits and other, I've got sub-second. I added the poly market, which I think you guys suggested.
Yeah.
Sports betting integration now. The sports betting, to be honest, is probably the most lucrative part of the system. So basically, it can place like arbitrage bets in like the third quarter of a basketball game and stuff, and then it'll say, what's the likelihood that this player is gonna score a 3-pointer or whatever. And I guess there's no basketball right now, but that sort of thing and then make a real-time bet on that. This
Okay,
seems
but how is managing to connect to all the brokers in this case? Because this is my
Yes, so I've got let's go here to SRC. I don't have all of them published here. Some of them wanted to keep it private, but the ones I did, I've got a trading right here, trading APIs and trading. So I've got different trading APIs that I support. Oops. So I got Alpha Advantage. I got Interactive Brokers. I got Lime. I did Alpaca as well. I haven't published the Alpaca one yet, but basically you can pick and choose different implementations. So, and then you can just ask Claude Flow to basically create if like there's some guys in Germany that wanted something from Germany, so it created their German. I think Alpha Advantage was German, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the Alpha Advantage was using the German stock trading. Some other guys wanted something out of for high frequency trading out of Dubai. So this was using Lime.
But then we have to tell him exactly which one to use, or I will tell him I want to trade in this place, and they will pick
It figures it out. It just figures it out. It just figures it out by itself. Basically,
so I don't have to build a data pipeline for it.
No, you don't. You do exactly what I'm doing right here. There's a Claude Flow front end. So you see how I'm saying, optimize? You're doing exactly the same thing. You're saying, I've got $1,000 to spend right now, and I'm not sure what to spend it on, and I don't want to lose my shirt. Go figure it out.
Okay.
And it'll do paper trading. It'll actually paper trade for the first day or two, and then it uses the self-learning neural network component, the micro neural nets, for each one of the agents, and it'll use the time series data that's flowing from the trading API, and then it'll train to figure out how it can sort of front load or do whatever it needs to do to get the best results. So it magically figures it out.
But this one is somehow encapsulated somewhere that it will be keeping the trading system running, and you can build a couple of them in parallel, for example, for different structures, for different brokers, for different. So I mean, you have like a special swarm for a specific broker and a specific strategies, for example, or different indicators. Can you browse that as an element to be able to just keep it there, and then you start building another one? Is that possible? So it will be trading that particular strategy in that particular broker for a long time, for example, and then another one will be created in parallel.
Yeah. So because I'm a lot of the guys using the system wanted low latency, high frequency trading, because this thing can do sub 10 millisecond trades. So the speed of light is a really important part of the equation. So what we did, and I'm dirt cheap. So rather than having to worry about AWS and Google or Azure, what I ended up doing was using the A100s from Fly.io, and then I just used global deployment on Fly and used their GPUs. And now I deployed it to I think it was Dubai, Singapore, London, San Francisco, and I'm just using the A100s. the A100 GPU was more than adequate. It was dirt cheap. I didn't need an H100 or anything. So yeah, it'll deploy, and the swarm basically is figuring out what capacity it needs, and then it'll basically use the fly.io CLI and spin up new additional instances as new opportunities appear. So basically, I'm using that. Remember, I showed you earlier the WebSockets and the DAA components. It's basically using that to sort of communicate with each other across multiple distributed instances of itself.
Inside Fly, you mean?
Inside fly.io.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, again, just using an A100. The cheapest GPU you can possibly get. Looks like I'm using Chicago, and I got backups to
from
Frankfurt, Tokyo, and Sydney. Yeah.
One
It's
crazy
crazy.
idea I was having, Roof, about this, instead of deploying in Fly, was to try to deploy it on, if it's possible, like in Cloudflare. So you have like a full distributed mesh of connections, and you will have these neural networks running inside of these workers.
Does Cloudflare Edge have GPU?
Don't need it.
They do now. Yeah, they do now.
Oh, even better. Yeah. So here's the drawback. I built this. Well, I didn't really build it. So the system, when I was building DAA, it determined that it needed to figure out a way to make money. So this DAA system that I built a couple weeks ago basically said, I'm going to create a distributed autonomous agent structure, right? And one of the things it included was economic self-sufficiency. So I woke up in the morning, and one of the tests I saw was this neuro trading system. And I'm like, what's this? And it had built that system, and then it attempted to go and create a Stripe account and sell the system as a meta ad. So it was trying to create meta ads to basically sell this service to other people that could then buy it, so they could make money and do the trades. And I'm like, well, that's actually an interesting idea. So I kind of ran with it, did the post. Next thing you know, I had like the CTO of a major investment bank reach out and a bunch of others. And I'm like, okay, I got to charge more for this. And it was totally right. I'm doing really well with this thing. And yeah, it built itself, but it was an offshoot of this DAA project. Now, the drawback to it is the fact that it built it in Python. It's where neurodivergent, this system here, is actually built in Rust. So the benefit of Rust is I can take the neurodivergent package and the RuFan package, and it's bundled as a WASM that I can run in a serverless environment, such as Cloudflare.
Correct.
So I've got all the components to do exactly what you said, but you have to tie them together. So basically, you're going to use the neurodivergent system, and you're going to basically use Roof Swarm. So to do that, you got to go and use RuFan. So RuFan is what ties all this together. So RuFan gives you the custom neural network. So this gives you the fast neural network library compiled as a WASM. It gives you neurodivergent, and Roof Swarm brings it all together. Correct. Now, in hindsight, if I was going to build the neuro trading system today, I would have built it with this, but I didn't really plan it. It built itself, so I kind of ran with it.
Yeah. So then the best will be to take that idea, bring it, and build it on top of this one.
Yes, because this gives you way faster performance.
Correct.
And you get less tokens. It's using WebAssembly. Everything's connected with MCP, and you've got it.
Even using CPU.
Yeah, CPU is fine.
Yeah,
because you're actually creating micro neural networks. So the GPU, unless you're doing some kind of crazy, advanced analysis, and you don't need it. The CPU is more than adequate for a sub-million parameter model, which is what we're using.
Yeah. And after this is finished and it's running, and I can deploy different modules of this, I don't need Claude code in this case, because I'm not building anymore, or how it works.
No, you don't need it at all. You can use, and that's partially why I'm looking at using things like the Synaptic Mesh and the Claude and the Code Mesh system that gets me around it. And I can train attention mechanisms. I can do whatever I need. So if you go back to this for a sec, if you go back and let's say you needed like a human natural language component, all you need to do is go use the Roof fan core and train a attention model. So you go here to the folder called where I think that's it. I think that's actually the SRC.
And what about a diffusion agentic model that you mentioned before?
Yeah, that you guys, agentic diffusion.
Yeah.
I need to translate agentic diffusion into Roofan. I haven't done that yet. This is Python.
Okay, but you still have it somewhere, no?
Yeah, this is agentic diffusion. So this uses a diffusion-based approach.
So here's a crazy
Yeah.
idea that from finance super trading, so generalized superintelligence in respect to trading, what it is that you need all these different strategies because it's patterns. So the patterns in the data are what you're exploiting to gain, to make money. And those patterns disappear as a higher number of people exploit that pattern, that particular gap in the data, then the opportunity to make money disappears. So you have to constantly discover those. So you just have to make decisions like I'm going to do day trading or not day trading, because that affects like IBKR. You need minimum 25K if you're doing day trading, etc. But what is possible is now you've got Germany, you've got other geographies. And if you can have something that can trade wherever that pattern exists, that can be exploited. And I think it would be cool to try that. So not so much one custom in one geography from Dubai, but you're looking at generalized ability to become prosperous for anyone by being able to trade wherever the gap in the data is so that you can exploit it to create a profit. Because all you're doing is I'm able to find where that gap is and I need to use this strategy. But that is a process by which you're just investigating data. It's just a not very deep analysis process. And that's what human beings
Ravi,
spend a long time learning.
you should see
That's
what
what
Jane Street did in India.
Go ahead.
Jane Street is a large high
Yeah.
frequency trading firm. You should see what they did to the Indian markets, Ravi.
Yeah, destroyed it.
Well, you may do it tomorrow without knowing much about it and just having a swarm,
Well, I don't have $800 million to throw around like they did.
Who is it, Jet? Jet? What's that? What did it? Who did you
Jane
say?
Street Trading, and then look what they did to the Indian markets. We're live, so I don't want to highlight the specifics, but
Yeah.
you're welcome to conduct your own research.
Yeah, and in some sense, that aspect talks to Mandeep is the people who tried from inside the trading industry to say we should be more humanitarian. No one else was interested in. That's the gist of it. No one actually cares when you go and talk. So you notice that self-corruption mindset takes over, and that affects all of us in different ways. So that is something that attracts very powerful figures. So there are things that people don't want to say, certainly outside of private conversation. But becoming technologists, I'm just saying that it is just about exploiting data, and it is about matching an exploited data gap to a certain strategy, which you can do kind of algorithmically, and that is there in this technology that is emerging. So I was just pointing out that's to go multi-broker, multi-geography, and be able to exploit wherever the data gap exists, because that is the challenge for human beings. They spend many hours just trying to find that. I've got this IBKR, I've got Alpha Vantage, I've got this. I have to learn. I need a mentor, a coach. So now you have a swarm, and you have,
Exactly.
So does
Well
this mean,
said.
Ravi, you'll be participating in the markets tomorrow?
No. I decided that you actually need to know how to hold your nerves. So as a human being, I could not do it. But if I had a machine that could do it for me, because it doesn't have the problem of needing to hold their nerve.
This is what I did.
That's the gist. That's the gist of it. And
I took
I'll give you just Ruben, just one. I'll tell you, and this is probably personal. I don't mean to trigger anyone's trauma. I have lived in a van after COVID for 4 months. So I'm someone who needs money to avoid homelessness post-retirement, maybe unlike most of you. But
Yeah, exactly.
this is for anyone. This is for the UK. You've got homelessness in Canada. You've got people just dying on the streets. Anyone. So this is about democratization of wealth. The ability to make at least some wealth so that you can at least have a roof. That is the power. So I see all of the AI movement as we can, like you can go to Africa and they don't need to go through decades of development and become a developed area and give prosperity to their people. That is definitely one of the things that, but you need someone with integrity, and maybe no human beings exist like that, because there's some kind of tendency to go like, well, I need to pay bills too. And then kind of you lose your way, but it's okay. We are trying the best we can, and we are not really evil people. So I take pride in that.
Yeah, I think
Sorry,
that
go ahead.
the key, there's a couple of key takeaways of all the things I've been showing you guys, like crazy neural networks and distributed and Ravi's altruism. I think the key here is the very nature of software is changing into a point where it's adaptive, custom, extremely custom to the particulars of an individual, where the previous iterations of SaaS was like, I'll build for everyone and no one in particular. And if you want it to be custom to you, it requires hiring some consulting company and maybe an 18-month development framework or development timeline. Now, instantly, you pull up my software, you put Claude Flow in front of it and say, build it, deploy it, optimize it, done. Like, and you see the difference of the neural network mates, in just a few minutes. I have to do a little more digging here, but anecdotally, it works a hell of a lot better. But if you look at it, it's saying that I'm getting 66% better, faster. I got 30% improvement in successful requests, 53% better memory utilization. These are real things. These are real numbers, and they're meaningful. You can see the fact that I can create this stuff in moments is in itself an indication how powerful this technology is. So the idea of distributed neural networks, micro neural networks, is obviously the future. This idea of monolithic language models, that isn't the future. If ASI is going to be a thing, it's not going to be monolithic. It's going to be highly distributed, adaptive. It's going to look more like a synaptic network and less like a telecommunications network. Yeah. And I think we're almost out of time here, guys. I got to jump to my next call.
I would add into that, Ruben, there's a big trend that's just been triggered around small language models and micro language models, domain specifics, having these large jumbo monolithic models that are just very general purpose. That is also not the future.
Yeah, language is dead. If you see all the stuff I'm doing, you notice that almost none of the things I'm building has any basis in language. I'm almost entirely based in some form of neurosymbolic structures, some mathematical formula. So whether it's time series or other algebraic approaches, language is a limiting factor. You can only describe the reality through words, and you can't adequately describe reality itself. So all the things that I'm building are moving beyond the limits of the way that we can describe it. The only time I use an attention-based model is to act as an interface to the complexities of things that I can't understand. But everything beyond that doesn't use language at all. Like look at neurodivergent and Rufan. That's not, none of that is language-based.
And there is a deep reason for this. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, my last question was, is it because there are few packages or stuff that we are still missing from Python? How can we add new small packages so we can make the network a little bit smarter? Is this possible? This is my thinking. If it's something that we can like an MCP, or we can create something that we can keep adding to the system itself.
WASM. I'm using Rust WASMs. And for those who are interested in the final results of the deep dive, I just put a link, and it's looks like it's substantial. You guys can run your own analysis. I got to jump to my next call. My days are completely packed. I really appreciate everyone jumping on these calls. It's fun to share the crazy things that we're working on. Last thing. In regards to the UIs, we should totally create a crazy UI. I would love for you guys to help me create some kind of Matrix-inspired UI for this stuff. Everything I'm creating. Yeah, there you go. Tesseract.
One final thing is that we are waiting on you to probably do a pointer for the London chapter domain. I think Ben has sent a request. I think you are the only one who has access to do that.
Yeah,
We'll
on
figure it-
Discord, I sent it.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. Let's get a time. I gotta go, guys. I
Give you a
got
nudge. Thank you.
9
Awesome.
hours of calls.
Keep it up, Rove.
All
Keep
right,
it up.
thanks everyone.
Appreciate it.
next?
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay,
Bye.
talk
Thanks,
to you
guys.
soon. Okay,
When's the
Bye.
next? Anyone? Okay. All right.
Tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern, we do the AI Hackerspace. If you're interested in actually showing something, talk to Rob he or Martin, who's on the call, or Bence, and we'll get you set up.
But it's my own shit, but not. I haven't worked with yours yet.
Doesn't matter. I love to
Okay.
see your stuff.
All right.
All right.